Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by PlayPicks and TheLines.com. I'm your host today, flying solo, Nate Weitzer on the East Coast as Josh Lander flies back across the country from Atlanta to his home on the West Coast. We will have our final regular season show for you tomorrow in full form, but today, just me here bringing you 2 game videos and our player props video per usual. We got a nice slate, 7 games on the docket for a Thursday. Philly at Toronto is the game we're talking here. And the Sixers -1, now up to -1.5. That total holding pretty steady at 220. Interesting game to talk about. We've got 6 other games on the slate. But before I do that, please do like and subscribe if you haven't. And as always, if you need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to FDPicks.com or DKPicks.com to find these listings in your local area. The Magic +13 at Hornets. We got Celtics +6 at the Bucks. Totals 227.5. I break that game down for you and really like both the Celtics to cover. Really like the over as well in that game. Pelicans -17 at home against the Blazers. The Spurs +8.5 at Minnesota. Totals all the way up to 241. Probably going to keep climbing there. The last time these teams met, Karl-Anthony Towns had 60 in a 149-139 win. I do like the Wolves there with DeJounte Murray out. I don't know if I like them by 8 points, but I think you had a nice opportunity to take the under along with a teaser there. Get the Wolves down. I don't think the Spurs will be able to score as much without their best player tonight. Grizzlies are +4.5 at Denver. Big game for Denver. Not a really irrelevant game for the Grizz, but they seem to bring it every night. So we'll steer clear of betting on that one right now with Brooks and Morant out. And then the Lakers, who were just eliminated, +12 at the Warriors. This Raptors-Sixers game has plenty of implications, though. First thing you need to know, Matisse Thybulle cannot play in Toronto. He is not vaccinated. That means if these teams happen to meet in the 4-5 matchup in the first round, which they're kind of on pace for, Thybulle will not be able to play in any road games, and that is a huge deal for a guy who's a first-team all-defense candidate and actually had a pretty nice game the last time these teams met. The last time these teams met, it was a absolute rock fight. Toronto winning 93-88 in Philly. Now Philly is 3-6 straight up against teams above 500 since their nice little 5-game honeymoon in the James Harden era. The wheels are kind of fallen off. That includes against this loss against Toronto. They did bounce back from that low point, losing to Detroit on the road to beat Cleveland and Indiana on the road. I don't think that that's in any way indicative of how they're going to perform here in Toronto, which has been really great. I mean, regardless of venue, won 12 of their last 15. They have won 5 of their last 7 at home. Worth noting, Toronto just got fans back in the building on March 1st. So getting on this streak has a lot to do with that. I mean, that building has been rocking as they just clinched their official playoff spot, not just the play-in spot. And they're looking to pass the Bulls, who can't stop sliding here. Got to think Toronto would love to get into that 5 spot where they could get these Sixers. It's not a bad matchup for them versus getting the Bucks or Celtics, which is a bad matchup for them, or really anybody, because they're playing a lot better than the Sixers right now. Key news here, though, to watch is OG Anunoby questionable with a thigh injury. I'm taking the Raptors to win if he plays. Also like the under more if he plays. I might steer clear of this game if he sits. I think it's a little too much of a toss-up, but I lean Toronto with him in there. I think their defensive lineup is just absolutely dynamic when you have Anunoby, Barnes, Siakam, and then whatever other bigs you want to rotate in there in terms of Precious Achiuwa had a nice game last time out. Boucher, if they want to go quicker and lengthier. But their defensive rating is 4 points worse without OG. They're under 500, 15-17. They actually are way worse on offense, too, shooting 4% points worse from 3. So a little bit more erratic in terms of what to expect. But with him in there lately, they have the 6th best defense at home since the All-Star break, middling offense, and 3rd slowest pace. So they're 6-4 to the under in those games. They've gone under in 13 of their last 19 overall. And that goes back to March 1st when they got fans in the building, when they started to ramp up a little bit. defensive rating just under 110, allowing just 105 points because the pace is so slow. Again, 94.7 pace. So even with a defensive rating around 110, we're at allowing much slower than that. And you look at when they've played the Sixers, that pace has been at 92, way slower, allowing just 103.7 to these Sixers. And the Sixers so dependent on free throws with Embiid and Harden leading the way, right? Well, Toronto's actually allowing the fewest free throw attempts, just 15, and the lowest percentage off free throws in their last 3 games. They allow the most. They're allowing an above average 14.3 threes in that span, but Philly is struggling to find any consistency from deep since losing Seth Curry. Harden's still sputtering from deep. Harden still struggling in every realm since the Nets kind of put on film the book of how you cover him now. He has not been able to adjust. Any team just will back up. They will keep their hands high, not get called for a foul, and he doesn't seem to know what to do once he gets into the lane. It's really kind of troubling for the 76ers organization after they just mortgaged everything for the guy. He has not been the difference maker they need, and I think he's really going to struggle in this matchup. And if he's not lighting it up, it's all on Embiid, who somehow has really had trouble with Toronto. I mean, I guess 2 years ago, Toronto had Joe Val in there to lead the charge, but that was when Embiid had the only scoreless game of his career, I believe. He had 0 in November of 2019. He's averaging 18 points on 34% field goal shooting his last 8 against Toronto. You'd be bolder than me to take the under at 32.5 points, but I'm certainly not taking the over for Embiid tonight. Toronto, it just, to me, shows that they have a scheme that knows how to deal with him, which isn't that easy, but they have some secrets that they do. And it is kind of easy to develop a scheme to deal with James Harden right now. So if neither of those guys is lighting it up, which they didn't last time out, you combine them with Harris. They went 13 for 41 from the field in that rock fight. Toronto won the rebounding battle by 16, 56-40. And both teams hit just 7 threes at a very low clip in that last game. So the Sixers, I don't feel like they really should be favorites here. They're 1-point favorites. And it's interesting to note when they're away favorites, that's their highest over rate. When they're away underdogs, that is their lowest over rate. They fail to go over by an average of 7.7 points per game when they're road dogs. Just saying here. And the schedule to look at, Sixers could lose this game and still close out with wins over the Pacers and Pistons. Also, I mean, I think they want to move up to avoid a potential, to not be in the 4th seed, but really for them, they haven't been showing much urgency because I think they're still terrified of getting the Nets if they happen to move up too far. I don't know if there's much possibility for that at this point, but for Toronto, this is their last big game, their last big test, because after this, they get Houston at home tomorrow, then they close at the Garden against the Knicks. And I just think that the way they've been playing at home, I lean towards them, again, if they have OG. But either way, I'm fine taking the under here. Fine teasing it up if you would use it with another game. But the way Toronto mucks it up, plays defense, and the way they've handled the Sixers' top 2 stars, I think they can keep it low scoring tonight. So looking for some unders there. That is all the time we have for you in this one. Please check out our other game videos. We got Celtics at Bucks up, and we will have a player props video up for you later today. And then one more regular season show before we dive into our daily playoffs shows at the PlayPicks and the lines.com. Do subscribe to that page. Also bringing you MLB every day. So stay on top of that. And as always, happy betting.